Hi, welcome back to Call for Wisdom. My name is Deborah, and today we are going to review a episode that I like. Actually, it's just a podcast of a woman after 30 years of marriage wanting to divorce her husband. Isn't that new? Actually, it's 31 years of marriage. Like you ran this race for 31 years, and listen to the excuse she's given for wanting to divorce her husband.
People make it seem like it's easy to walk away from a relationship of a marriage. But after 31 years of being together and 21 years married, how do I walk away from somebody that has been with me over half of my life? But how you do that?
Yeah, can you give context on why you want to walk away?
Because he keeps seeking validation elsewhere.
So you heard that. She said she deserves better, right? Because I know I deserve better. And you're probably one of these women out there thinking, I've been in a relationship for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 plus years. And you think that you deserve better. You deserve better. And she's upset because he's seeking validation. Validation from another woman. You want to hear that?
But how you do that?
Yeah, can you give context on why you want to walk away?
Because he keeps seeking validation elsewhere.
Does that mean cheating?
He did. From what I understand, he has not slept with anyone. But what's your definition of cheating? Seeking validation elsewhere. Okay.
So she is defining cheating as seeking validation elsewhere. She says that if a man, right, she's referring to her husband, is looking for validation from another woman, that is her definition of cheating. Now, sisters, welcome to Call for Wisdom. This is a show for women. So if you are a brother, I'm not talking to you. I'm not teaching you theology. This is not your show, but you can hang out at the back and support us because this is for the sisters, a Bible study, right? We go by the Bible, biblical definitions, not our own definitions. We don't make it up. Because if you're going to accuse a man of cheating, which is a corporal offense in the Bible, like they stone people for this, you better know the definition of it, right? Because it's like accusing somebody of murder and they didn't do anything. Accusing somebody of cheating, adultery, and it's not adultery. It's the same thing. It's bearing false witness. It's accusing a man of a capital offense because he's looking at another woman, because he's seeking attention from another woman. Now, I hate to break your bubble, but actually, no, I enjoy breaking your bubble. Welcome, come along, my women, come along, my sisters. The biblical definition of adultery is based on the marriage status of the woman, not of the man. He can be a married man. The biblical definition of adultery is based on the marriage status of the woman. At most, the man could possibly be committing fornication, or he could be committing adultery of another man's wife. If the person that she's referring to, if her husband is having an affair with another man's wife, that is adultery, but it's not adultery against her. That's the key, right? Now, I'm going to give you an example before we move forward, because these are just secular people talking. They're not talking Bible, right? I'm talking Bible. So if the man is having an affair with a single woman, it is not classified as adultery. At most, if he doesn't want to marry her, it is fornication, Californication. Yeah, because within the marriage covenant of the Bible, you have to have sex within marriage, not outside of marriage, right? Within marriage. But if it is fornication, again, it's not fornication against the first wife. Like none of these crimes are against this woman here. Yet she's using this as a reason for trying to divorce the man after 30 years. He has not committed a crime against her according to scriptures. But according to the world, all he has to do is look at another woman and seek validation and attention from her. And this is enough to accuse the man of a crime of adultery. Now, interesting enough, what she is accusing this man of is what she is doing herself. Because if you are a married woman now, turn that around in the Bible, and you are going out to find attention from another man, who is not your husband, attention such as dressing up so that you can get his like, I mean, it's nice. I live in the Caribbean. We get flirty men all the time, especially if you're in the South America Caribbean region. Flirting is a thing, right? But if you're seeking it out by the way you dress, if you're looking for it, you're seeking it. It's a different thing. If you're dressing provocatively and you are a married woman, looking for attention of a man outside of your marriage, not your husband, i.e., then you are committing adultery in your heart. In your heart. Because you're already seeking attention and validation from another man. Look at this woman now coming on the podcast seeking validation and attention from other people, trying to get it so that she can divorce the man. She is already being treacherous towards her man, treason towards her man, and she's accusing him of the same thing, where she's guilty of it. That's why the Torah is so important. Knowing the biblical word, knowing the law for yourself is so important, because Yah hates it when we bear false witness against each other. Yeshua said, Jesus, Yeshua, he said, before you go criticizing other people, right? Before you go to your brother and says, look at that, take out the plank in your eye so that you can see the little speck in his, right? So she has this plank of adultery right now, possibly in her eye, because she's seeking a validation from another group of people. If you're like that as a woman right now, going to your pastor, going to your ex-boyfriends, going to your boss over there, trying to get the attention from other men, the leadership from other men, the spiritual guidance from other men, and not from your husband, it is possible that you are committing adultery, the same adultery that you're trying to accuse him of, you're doing. Yet he is not doing it towards you, right? And so it's so important to know the Bible for yourself. Now, before I continue, because this is a review and I'll continue in a little bit, let me just reverse again about the fact that I'm teaching sisters, right? Not both to men, to the sisters, to the women. And then we come together as believing women and we're looking into the scriptures for the borders of which we define things. Let's go to the adultery again, just repeating that for those of you who've never heard the real definition of adultery. According to the word, according to the Bible, right? It's always pertaining to if a man takes a woman that does not belong to him, that belongs to another person, right? Another man, i.e., she's married. And so let's give you an example of David. For example, David was married to several women before he met Bathsheba. And we all know the story about Bathsheba, right? How he met Bathsheba when he was supposed to be in war, but he wasn't. He wasn't doing his business. He was at home as a king. And then he was looking on his rooftop down at his roof, and he saw a woman bathing naked, Bathsheba, who belonged to another man called Uriah. She was the only wife of Uriah. And that time, King David had several other wives. He had more than one wife. His adultery there wasn't against them, by the way. He went and he took Bathsheba for himself and had sex with Bathsheba. That was adultery. And when Nathaniel, the prophet Nathaniel, came to correct him and to call it out, because there was murder involved in that too, he got Uriah, the woman's husband, killed so he can hide up his sin. Well, when the prophet Nathaniel came, the prophet Nathaniel, this is in 2 Samuel's, prophet Nathaniel corrected David, and he told David, rebuked him for the adultery because he stole Uriah's wife. That's the key. He took another man's wife. That was the adultery. That was the sin that David was repenting for after that. But Uriah didn't say, oh, by the way, David, by the way, how about the 7 other women or the 5 or 6 other wives you have there? While you're at it, you might as well divorce them too because there's adultery. No, he didn't say that. Because biblically, men were allowed to have more than one wife as long as they were coveted to women when he got them as single women. They were available, right? And a man looking to expand his household, he can do that anytime. It is a prerogative. Even if you got him when you were young, like this lady seems to be in her 50s, right? Maybe she married her husband when she was in her 20s. And at times she was the only wife. And he didn't have any interest in any other person. But give it a couple more years of her nagging, of her coming on podcasts, of her feeling entitled to more. Maybe he felt the need to go expand his house somewhere else and seek validation from other single women. That is not adultery. And just like a man is allowed to scouts to see which, woman he wants first, looking at another woman or checking out his options is also not adultery. He's not supposed to have sex with them, by the way, until he covets to marry them. That's a different thing. That's fornication, but not fornication against you. So this woman have a right to divorce her husband. Should she walk away from a 30 plus, 31 year plus marriage because he's seeking validation from another woman? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Yes or no? Should she walk away?
So he's crossed your boundary for more than enough times, and you're ready to leave. And one thing that I never do is
I'm sure that I'm ready.
You're not sure.
She's
Okay,
not
so this
sure,
is the thing.
but they're going to make her sure.
You gotta know how far you are willing to go. If you do not know how far you're willing to go, you will always betray yourself, and they will betray you as well. But the other thing is, if you haven't made a decision, you got to decide on what you want on your life, because you'll be in this same spot 30 years from now, still without making a decision. You got something you want to share?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm not oblivious to the fact, but I'm not stupid either. 31 years of my life, that insurance policy is mine.
Oh my goodness. See how they're celebrating it? See how they're celebrating it? She's willing to for sure. She knows if she's leaving, she's taking the insurance policy. Probably the house, the car, the dog too. Like typical modern women as we divorce, thinking that it all belongs to her. She feels entitled to it, right? So look at the praise that the audience is giving her. Then you start listening to serpents. When you if you're listening to the enemy, he's going to cheer you on, my sisters, as you seek to leave. He's going to send all these people to pat you on the back and to give you validation for leaving your husband. Because you don't understand biblical marriage. You don't understand the parameters of marriage. That Yah has always allowed a man to have more than one woman if he chose to. Now, nothing wrong with monogamy. Okay, I'm against prescriptive monogamy, the enforcement that a man has to only have and seek only one woman in his life. He can be monogamous today and choose to be polygynous tomorrow, right? Polygyny means having more than one wife, right? I'm not into polyandry. Polyandry is different. We're not talking about all the polys. We're talking about polygyny. Biblically, marriage is involving a man having more than one wife, just like Abraham had more than one wife, Jacob and David and Gideon, and there's so much more. The majority of the men you know of in the Bible possibly had more than one wife, and it was never called out to be a sin, never, ever, ever. So now that this is not known by the world, this is giving us a way of ditching our marriage, of burning them up, of throwing away 31 years together because you thought you thought you were equal. You thought that you were equal in the sense that you had the same kind of borders around your relationship. You do not. As a helpmate, you're just a member of his body. He is the head, right? And when you decide that, let me just put this down here for a second. I was going to read First Corinthians 7, because let's just say, side note here, that this man wants to stay with her. Paul says here in First Corinthians 7, I'm just going to go down here. Verse 10. But to the married, I give instructions, but the Lord, that the wife should not leave her husband, right? So Paul says, First Corinthians 7, verse 10, but to the married, I give instructions, but not I, but the Lord, that the wife should not leave her husband. But if she does leave, she must remain unmarried, or else be reconciled to her husband. Like, do not go. If you do go, you have to stay single. No panani, no sex, no fornication, no adultery. You're supposed to stay single if you decide to leave, right? Do not go. And that the husband should not divorce his wife. And the word again, put away, divorce, right? Put away is in Greek. The Greek word for that divorce means put away. Verse 12. But To the rest I say, not the Lord, that if anybody has a wife who is an unbeliever and she consents to live with him, he must not divorce her, right? If you have an unbeliever. Now, as a woman, verse 13, and a woman who has an unbelieving husband, an unbelieving husband, and he consents to live with you, with her, she must not send her husband away. So that is 1 Corinthians 10, verse 13. If your husband doesn't want to leave, right, you shouldn't put him away. 1 Corinthians 7, verse 1 Corinthians 7, verse 13. And a woman who has an unbelieving husband and he consents to live with her, she must not send her husband away, for the unbelieving husband is sanctified through his wife. You hear that? And the unbelieving wife is sanctified through her believing husband, for otherwise the children are unclean, but now they are holy. So the question I would ask this woman if she was sitting in my office is, first of all, stop it. Do not even start contemplating cutting off your husband. Because there's consequences. You leave, you stay single. You leave for an unrighteous reason, like he's not abusing you, he's not hitting you over the head, he's not torturing you, the kids are fine. You're not in physical danger. There is no reason to leave. If he's providing you food and clothing, and he's giving you some panani, some conjugal marital rights, he's giving you what the Bible says a husband should be giving up, right? So you're getting paid your wifely duties for being the helper. If he's not withholding any of these things from you, and the only thing that you have to do is help him, then act as a wife and help him, because Eve was put for Adam, not the other way around. When Eve was created, she was created for the benefit of Adam, not the other way around. So when this woman joined her husband, she was joined in there for the benefit of her husband, for his house, to grow his house, to be a helpmate towards him, not for him to be a helpmate towards her. I know that sounds wild. And it doesn't mean that men don't do good for us, because they sure do. They provide so much value, so much things, so much good things to us. They give us so much. But we were created for them, the other way around. And biblically speaking, that's really hard for women to grasp, because we think we have a right to a whole lot that we don't have a right to. We feel entitled to it. And this woman also feels entitled to having the sole attention of the man. And monogamy has taught her that. Prescriptive monogamy has taught her that the whole attention that the man has to go towards her. And unless he even looks the other way, and she's not even quite sure if he slept with the other woman yet, unless she looks the other way, he's already committing a crime in her eyes. But you notice that in the story of David in 2 Samuel, David had other wives before he met Bathsheba. And the other wives probably saw Bathsheba, but they never accused, not once, him of committing adultery against them, because it had nothing to do with them. The sin that David said, even when he was praying, he said, to you, O Lord, I have done this crime. He prayed in Psalms, to Yah alone, not to his other wives. He didn't go asking them forgiveness. They probably were disappointed in him, and that's a different thing. But he didn't commit a crime against them. He was committing a crime against Uriah for taking his wife, and he committed a crime by murdering Uriah, but he didn't a crime towards his wife. So this woman, being the first woman, the first wife, had no rights to contemplate taking the man's insurance, his profit, and cutting off his probably his children and his lifestyle by her departing unrighteously. Right? Unrighteously, because she has no valid biblical reason to separate herself from him. Yet this worldly counsel is going to cheer her on. We're going to listen to just a little bit more. Look how much they're saying. Wow.
What's up? Go back.
She feels so empowered now to leave her husband. Wow. It's so sad. Wow.
I love what you said. And I believe it. See, here's the thing.
I say this analogy all the time, and I really mean it. I always think about what God asks us to do. What God asks us to do, right? I think about Lot and his family. Lot and his family, he gave them the directive to run away and don't look back. Right?
Yeah, Yah gave Lot and his family directions to leave to leave the land that they were living in, Sodom and Gomorrah. He didn't say to leave his wife, and yet they're going to pull this in. This is how the enemy twists it. The devil twists it. He's going to pull this analogy in just to make it apply to a woman leaving her husband, as if it's a validation to do that, using the Bible to do that. Oh my goodness, here we go.
Right, from the Bible, right? Mm-hmm. And I think about how hard it must have been to leave a place you grew up. You raised your children, and think about it. In Lot's home, he probably had measurements of his kids at age 6, age 12, 15. They probably, this is where I got married in that vineyard. My birth, my son here. You have all these memories. And God didn't ask him to do anything super special. He just said, put one foot in front of the other and don't look back. Sometimes when we are making our decisions to leave places that God says no longer serve you, the only thing you got to do is focus on putting this foot in front of the other. And when you do that, you put this foot in front of that one. And then most importantly, you don't look back.
Wow.
Make it seem like
gosh, that's so terrible advice. You know, at the end of the day, my sisters, the devil will make it sound so good. As long as this marriage is not serving you anymore, serving you as if you were put there to be served. You were not put there to be served. It's not about the marriage serving you. You were put there to serve your husband. Go ahead, be busy doing that, right? It's not about what it was supposed to be like. As if Eve was there to serve Adam, that's what the beginning says, right? She was the helpmate created for Adam's need. It was not good for him to be alone. So the Yah gave Adam Eve. And we right now are trying to turn it around and saying, well, as long as the man is not serving me, not doing this for me, I have a right to put him away. Well, you do not have a right to do that. I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper. Hopefully the next episode I do, because there's a lot of misunderstanding about women thinking that they have a right to initiate divorce, right? And separating that from reasons why you might want to run away if you were in danger. But divorce, another question here. You do not have the right to do what she's doing, but I don't want to make this episode too long. I want to encourage you, though, because I have written about it in my upcoming book that should be released in the summer, and it is titled Stop Speaking to Serpents. It's all about this, because the devil loves to give us a lot of examples to reasons to run away from the Bible, run away from the Yah's command, just like Eve did. And this is what this lady's doing. She went and she got a second opinion, not from the Bible, but from serpents. I'm not calling these people serpents, but the ideology, the feminist ideology, the backwards against Yah ideology, totally different than what the Bible is saying. If you're going to look for advice that way, you're going to be lost. You're going to be locked out of the garden. You're going to lose your 30 years of relationship with your husband. You're going to possibly, dare I say, end up going the direction of hell, right? Further and further away from the path of righteousness, doing things opposite of what Yah wants you to do. But if the man wants to live in peace with you, you should stay still. Anyways, buy my book. It's going to be on sale. You can pre-order it by just sending me an email. I'll have the links below. And if you want one-on-one counseling and you are a sister, then hit me up on charity.fm. I have the links below, and there you can call me for one-on-one counseling and some guidance. Thanks for hanging out, Cope Wisdom. If you enjoyed this episode, give me a thumbs up, and then answer the question for me here. Should she walk away after 31 years? Do you think that the reason she gave was valid enough to do so? Let me know in the comments below. Take care, my sisters. Thanks for following Cope Wisdom.